Copy.
I'm just recording.
He may be down there.
Burns or somewhere else?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Marine.
Oh, right here?
Yep. Well, once a Marine, always a Marine,
That's
right?
right.
You called them up.
How you doing?
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing?
That's, how you doing?
Good morning.
What, how you doing? Can't go that way.
Matt. Matt.
Matt? Matt? How you doing?
Hey, Ron. Don.
Don?
How are you?
Good to meet you.
Staying warm?
We're doing all right. Well, you know how it is. We've been on opposite day, so got to do your best to stay warm.
Worst thing is the damn ice, but the yak tracks do help. So.
Yep. That's been helpful.
For sure. And what was your position, or what do you do?
I'm a negotiator.
Oh,
He's a smooth negotiator. Yeah.
Pete and I had a good conversation.
Yeah.
But I really do appreciate
It was in
the way
good faith.
you handled it.
It was in good faith.
I think so too.
I think this is the thing that needs to happen. What's happening right here?
I agree.
Don't you?
Yep, I agree totally.
I mean, if you know, I believe you're genuine. I just, like I said, I was concerned about your chain of command. Hopefully, you can also apply your negotiation skills to them if they make the wrong call.
You know, like I said, the one thing that we want to do is talk. That's the big thing. I think if dialogue is the way to handle this. Right.
FBI.
Start at the bottom. So, hey guys, could you call? Could you call the in there and see if oil?
Check one. Roger. Yeah, they're coming up.
How you doing?
Okay. And that's what they're looking for. So, someone reached out.
Okay.
And he came up here to visit with that person.
Okay.
And that's what they're here for. So if you can. Yeah.
Hey, nice
how
to
you
meet you.
doing?
Pleasure,
Nice to
sir.
meet you.
Pleasure.
Let's say it's Oregon.
I'm Mac. How you doing?
Mac, you got a card?
I do not. No,
Mac, who are you with?
No,
I'm with the FBI.
You're with the FBI?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm here with Ammon. Did you reach out to him already? He's come here at Burns Airport and wants he wanted to talk to you. I'm going to give you the phone.
You want this documented?
Sure.
Okay.
Chris? Yeah. Are you not out here then? Right. Well, I see a whole full of people here, and I guess you reached out to me, so I'm not sure exactly what you wanted to talk about, but that's what I came here to. And do what?
Just wanted to take
And getting, a lot of these land transactions figured out. We've been working on the records to get these lands back in the right hands so that the people can start living. And that's basically what we've been doing. We've been helping the ranchers local here, and there's a few of them that the refuge was about ready to take their homes and their ranches, so we've been trying to get them on their feet and help them out. And the refuge in itself was in pretty bad shape, so we've been doing a lot of maintenance on the refuge and getting that back up to shape and trying to get it control with all the rodents and everything. So we've been busy, and the people have been feeding us well and supplying us well, and yeah, it's been good.
Looks like there's been a lot of work out there.
Yeah, yep, there has been.
What kind of product was you working on at the refuge? What kind of repairs?
Oh, the shop, maintenance, cleanup mostly, but then there was some fire hazards in the firehouse, believe it or not, and so we've got a one of the guys out there he was a fire inspector for most of his career, and so we've identified some of those things and are getting those cleaned up and getting some of the explosives and different things out of the way. And we promise you we won't use them for any reason.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
We get that done to be safe.
Yeah, it would take somebody that would know what they're doing to use them. But
Very hard.
anyway, working with the community, working with the ranchers, and also loggers that were in the logging industry that were put out of business, and we're working to start planning on getting a mill in here and getting them back to logging and try to get this economy back on its feet here in Harney County
You're having a lot of leads up there in Harney County.
too, and we've been able to share with it why we're here, and they've started to get, we've seen hope in them that maybe they can have a chance to get some of these things straightened out so that they can begin to benefit from the land and resources again, rather than being restricted to the point that they can't, their families have to move away just to make a living.
What's been the feedback from the people that you talk to? What are some of the things they've said?
Well, there's been story after story about how, the refuge has taken land and ranches. But then I would say the next most prominent story that we've heard is how the fires have been so destructive to them, and how it appears that the Bureau of Land Management is only there to make money on the fires. They're not there to put the fires out. And they've lost cattle and ranches and feed and you name it. And so they seem pretty upset by the way the fire management has been going on. And I don't know if you know, there's a local volunteer fire group, and they have a track record of keeping it down to, I think the fire's down to less than 1,000 acres when they're on it. But when the Bureau of Land Management firefighters are on it, it goes to hundreds of thousands of acres. I mean, the federal government has grossly overstepped its bounds. It appears that it considers its people as a nuisance almost. And I'm not talking all the agencies. When I go down to the post office, they treat us pretty nice, and they're pretty good service. But guess what? That post office is constitutional. The people give the postal service authority to function. And it's interesting that here we have all these federal buildings that they've evacuated that are unconstitutional. And then right in the middle of town, where we go almost every day to get mail, and they're very friendly, is a post office, which is a federal facility, but they haven't evacuated it. And it certainly seems that the federal government understands the Constitution too. And all we're asking, there is no threat to a constitutional action of the federal government. We believe that the federal government's role is to protect the world, or protect the United States, the states, from the outside world. And we are greatly appreciative of that, and we want to support the federal government in that. But what we cannot have is them coming down into the states without authorization from the people and stealing their land and resources.
I'm glad that it's a pretty the last thing is escalate.
We're not going to escalate nothing. We're there to work. I mean, you guys as the FBI or the Sheriff's Department, which I do have some questions about, I mean, you guys would be the only one to escalate this. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to show my face and to shake your hand and to make sure you know that I'm a real person, and that myself and those that are with me are not a threat, that we are here for the right reasons, and that we have a situation here that needs to be resolved, and that we're not going to ignore that situation, you know, and we're not going to yield in trying to solve it, but we're also not going to use violence. That's never been our style, and that's not what we're here to do, being put in place. Because the people are well on their way to claiming back their lands and resources, and the last thing that we want to do is to leave the refuge and disrupt that. And also, because you know and I know both, what's going to happen is those individuals have been doing this to the people, intentionally or unintentionally. I'm not wanting to demonize them, but those people will go right back into the refuge facilities, the headquarters. They'll go right back into the BLM offices. They'll go right back into the U.S. Forest Service offices, and they will put the chains right back on the people. And that is exactly what will happen. And you know that, and I know that, and all of us know that. So we will leave there if those buildings are turned over to the proper authority, to the jurisdiction, and never used again by the federal government to control land and resources unconstitutionally in this county. One thing that we are sure that we cannot do is just leave so the chains can be placed right back on these people, and they end up right back in the situation that they're in. That I can assure you will not happen. Well, let's get Congress together and they can make a decision then.
You know, what was besides people looking for a plan of action, how else do you do this?
Well, you can bring, and this is the most important of everything, all that I've said, you can bring the Hammonds back home to their families. They do not deserve to be there. The federal government abuse the Constitution or abuse the system, even their own system, in order to put them there, and that is a pretty much a consensus. I mean, you can bet the American people across this country know that what happened to the Hammonds was unjust, and you people as representatives of us, the people, you need to listen to us on this one, and you need to get the Hammonds back to their families, back to their lives, and back to their homes. And that needs to happen. That is a must.
Have you had any conversations with the authority to petition the president to do that?
To petition the president to do that. The president didn't put them there. And the president is not going to take them out. The judicial system, the U.S. Attorney's offices, they put them there, and they need to work their magic like they do in so many other cases against the people. They need to work their magic in this one. You and I both know the president is not going to get them out.
I can't say that, but I don't know. That's something for another, for someone else to answer how that works. It's a legal question.
It always is.
There's outside my area of expertise.
Somebody should do something.
They investigate.
Sure, I understand that, yeah, and that's, I mean, like I said, these things take a little time, but that's what needs to happen to assure that we as a people can move forward without this happening again. That we can move forward to make sure that this case doesn't set a precedent. That we can move forward to make sure that the Hammonds get home to their families and back to their ranches, and also to make sure that the people are free and not afraid to use the lands as they have rights to do, and that'll make a lot of things right. That'll turn a lot of things around, including the economy. If the people have access to the land and resources, the way that it was intended by our founders, the economy will immediately turn itself around. And then we can start working on this debt problem that we have with the rest of the world. And anyway, those are bigger issues than you and I want to get involved in, I'm sure. But those things, but this is the beginning. I mean, this has to happen in order for people to get back on their feet, and then it needs to happen for this family that has suffered so much.
You've done a lot to put this in the spotlight, but a lot. You've got national precedent that you have. You started a dialogue amongst a lot of people that probably never took any interest in getting people to listen. I think that's important. I think that you know the value now is how do you maintain your message? Won't go back underground. You have to monitor and speak, but having the moment makes it. You know, I don't want to say one of your phone let's keep calling you nonstop. So I'll keep that in mind. Or maybe if you get a certificate, you can call a couple times in a row. If you can't talk, maybe just get real quick, just like you did yesterday, Chris.
Yeah, I'll do that.
I'll stop.
Okay, I'll definitely do that, and we'll talk tomorrow. Thank you. And if you can get here, I'd appreciate it, because I'll come down at 11 here, and whether you're going to be here or not, and we'll talk. But if you could be here, it'd be great. I'd like to see you face to face.
Okay.
All right, Chris.
I appreciate the fact that you want to be face to face. I think it's important, but that's not a decision for me to make right now.
No, I understand.
And I understand. It's not, you know, I think it's, I understand where you're coming from.
Sure. Okay. Hey, I have one more question for you.
Sure.
Are you LDS?
I am not.
Okay. Dang, I lost the bet. All right. Well, hey, it was good talking to you.
We'll talk tomorrow.
Ammon, how do you feel after that conversation? Do you feel encouraged? Do you feel...
I feel about the same. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm surprised or whatever, but you know, I think it's the civil thing to do is to talk, of course.
Ammon, during the conversation, did you suggest to him that, or encourage the FBI to investigate prosecutorial misconduct by the U.S. Attorney?
I actually did not use those terms, but that was part of what I guess, insinuated. I hope I made that clear, that there is abuses there. I did it in the form of they need to get the Hammonds home because there's some wrongs, major wrongs that are going on. The fact that they
Withheld evidence?
Withheld evidence, and that the Hammonds they were sentenced once, they went in prison, fulfilled that sentence, then came out, went back to their homes and their lives, and then nearly 2 years later, they're re-sentenced, and now they're going back to prison again for the remainder of 5 years. I mean, that's clearly the epitome of double jeopardy. And then you have the cruel and unusual punishment, where even if the Hammonds did for the second time, they've been fined $400,000. That Dwight had to drive a truck for 14 to 15 hours a day to pay for that $400,000 so that they didn't take his ranch when he went into prison. And then they spent upwards to $1 million in their legal defense. They made them sign a first right of refusal over so that when they did finally break, they had to sell it to the Bureau of Land Management. And then they placed restrictions on them where they cannot do any transaction larger than $500 without permission from the U.S. government. I mean, what's going on here? We can't be okay with that.